Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I've just woken up.
I was going to say you look a little bit tired.
I'm so exhausted. I got home after having my bloods taken and I had such a stonking headache. So I took some paracetamol at about 3:15 and I lay down. I thought I'll meditate and lie down. Oh,
Fell asleep.
yeah, woke up about 5 minutes ago.
Oh, you feeling all right?
Yeah, I don't know. I had a headache since this morning.
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't really know. Probably just a headache, but yeah,
yeah.
fine. I've been up since early as well, since about 5:30, 5:45, because I woke up feeling so not energetic. I mustn't exaggerate. I woke up feeling rested, which was great. And I thought if I wake up feeling rested, I want to go do pottery. So
Yeah.
I'm at my table at like 10 to 6 this morning doing pottery, which was lovely. Such a nice way to start the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's nice. So the headache came on later then after.
Yeah, I met a friend. I met a friend for a walk from my walking group. I haven't seen her for 4 months, and maybe I was feeling a bit rushed because I wanted to get back, have a shower, and then I had to drive to Sussex to have my blood taken. But the headache started there, and I thought, oh, I'm sure it'll go away. I mean, why have I got a headache? I'm sure it'll go away, and I didn't take anything.
Yeah.
So the journey to go take the bloods and come back was done
Yeah.
sore. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, hopefully,
I'm
if it
sure,
hasn't already
sure
gone, it
it's
will.
fine. Yeah, I can feel it. Oh God, look at the hair.
Yeah, it's all right. So you're going to yawn through the session, which makes me think what we were going to do was a bit of borrowing Katie's the work. Are you
I
still up?
forgot to download the thing. Yeah.
No, in that case, let's swap the sessions around. So we'll do a normal hypnosis-y type session today. Yeah.
Do you know what? I was so, yeah, obviously, as you know, yesterday, because I called you so many times and I was worried that something's happened to you because you've never missed a
Oh,
session. And where are you? And I kept on thinking, hang on, but it is 4 o'clock. No, it is 4 o'clock because it's Friday, that's 10 o'clock. The whole fucking day wrong.
I must admit, I can't remember what I was doing. I was obviously doing something. But when I eventually saw your message, I have that moment of oh shitness of
Yeah, yeah. I know, I make you doubt yourself.
yeah. But don't you sometimes find that when we've had a bank holiday the weekend before, so it kind of probably messed with your
Absolutely.
order.
And I think for me, I know since COVID's come around, because we're working from home so much more, so there is no very clear definition between a weekend and a week. And then because I started working at the garden centre and I work weekends, so very often I get to work or I wake up and I'm just like, I don't know what day it is, and I ask
Yeah.
someone what day it is.
Yeah.
I can't be sure what
Yeah. I'm like
day.
that. Yeah. I mean, most of the time, don't ask me. I'm kind of.
Do you find that since I mean, I don't know if you were going into the office before, but since COVID and being at home more, that it's kind of hard to know what day it is.
I haven't worked in an office for a long time. I mean, I've done a short period. I did in an office a couple of years back.
Okay, so
But no, most of the time I've been from home, and yeah, days kind of are a bit. I don't know what the date is or the day of the week, or I mean, even today.
yeah.
So it's not just you. So today I have my coaching sessions with my coach on Wednesday afternoon, and there is
Which is
another one.
tomorrow.
Yeah, there is another one I can go to, which is Tuesday, but that's a mindset thing, and most of the time I'm kind of sorted for that. Sometimes I go. So, but it's not my priority. And in my head, I was doing his session this afternoon until lunchtime. I was kind of getting things done this morning, sorting stuff
Russian,
out.
yeah.
thinking, oh, I've got the whole afternoon, I got her, and then I'm seeing Rose. And it was only sitting outside in the sun having a cup of tea, I thought, oh, that's tomorrow.
And how long have you been doing it with him for?
Oh, a few months.
Yeah. This is 12 weeks and I still got it.
Yeah.
And even yesterday I had a client call at 3, and I knew you were today, not yesterday, but then somehow I was on the call and I looked at the time and I said, okay, you've got to wind down now, whatever. And I thought, I've got to give myself at least 10 minutes cup of tea before you. Anyway.
Yeah. But I think if we look at it on the positive side of things, I think we're making those things important. We're saying to ourselves, that's important to me, I must remember it, but we're just kind of remembering it at the wrong time.
I just remember it on the wrong days. It is important to me, and I was really looking forward to yesterday.
Well, I'm sorry you had that disappointment to deal with. Yeah.
It's fun. What did I do yesterday? What was yesterday? Monday,
yeah.
I had something. Oh, went into my women's health specialist physio for my pelvic floor. Right. I started seeing her last year after my hysterectomy, and she's so good. She's also interested in menopause. I told her about you and the online menopause clinic, and I've sent her your details and online clinic. And I was going to copy you into the email, but then when I typed your name in, or menopause clinic, I didn't. What is your work address? Email address?
Work email is Shirley at, I need to change it really, at thementalwealthfactory.co.uk.
So it's all the mental wealth
factory.co.uk.
I wonder why you didn't come in. Co.uk.
Yeah.
And your personal one is?
BilsonShirley@gmail.com.
Yeah, you Bilson Shirley, aren't you?
Yeah.
I didn't want to send it. Okay. It's funny because I typed in Shirley and that didn't come up, or maybe I got it wrong. Okay. But anyway, yeah, I went and saw her yesterday and all's good. And then came back, had my client call, and then I was so amped to be talking to you at 4 o'clock.
Well, but what we can talk about most definitely is your chicken, because I saw on Instagram you post, like, literally, was it the next day or that afternoon? You'd gone away and you'd done it. You'd taken that step.
He's cute. I'll show you. I put beaks on everybody this morning. They need to be fine-tuned, but
ooh, new beaks.
Oh, wow. I know, because there's 4 of them, right? So
wow, that's
their little
great.
beaks are done this morning. I attached the beaks. And that's the whole full, because you know it's going to be on a
totem. Yeah.
Like a totem pole outside. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what they, my little concept chicken. I love it.
What was it like making the first mark then?
It was hard, and it's funny. I thought about what you said, because the stuff, the pieces that I love the most and like the most are the ones that were all kind of went a bit wrong and ended up being something else. That one that you liked on my Instagram page, and thank you, it was so sweet. You said you think I'm better than what I think I am. That one was supposed to be, I think it was supposed to be a vase, then it kind of sunk, then it was going to be a bowl, and then it got weaker, and then it started wobbling, and my teacher was there, luckily at the moment on the wheel it was going, and she said, just hold your hand, it will make beautiful waves, because she's obviously seen that before. That's where those little folds came in, and it's one of my very favorite pieces.
I think it's gorgeous. You know, maybe you develop your style. That could be your style.
I know. I don't know if I could replicate it though. All the things that I want to do like on purpose, but yeah, it's you know, I don't know why I hold on so tight. It's really interesting because I like to think of myself as an easygoing person. I think I'm very easygoing when it comes to other people. Nothing shocks me. You can't do anything that will shock me or affront me, well, unless you're a total arsehole. But you know, I'm really so open and so easy.
Yeah.
With other people, and it's interesting that I maybe don't give myself the same, I don't know what the word is, not leeway, but yeah, you know, I kind of hold on tight. If somebody else had to post the stuff that I was posting, I'd just be, well, you know, like a reminder about it's all about the process and just enjoy it. And you do, you know, I really do. I sit down, once I've started, once you make that first mark or you do the first thing, all that goes away and you enjoy it. But it's all the, I suppose as I become more mindful of it, now that I'm really aware that I do it, more mindful of it, I can double check myself and and be aware of it, and then hopefully it will disappear, you know, by just being aware of it.
When you were a child, I know you talked about the influence, you know, you were in South Africa and as apartheid and there were all the things going on that were uncomfortable. But if you think of the things that as a young or small child, you kind of remember enjoying that had nothing to do with anyone else. You know, that age where you can just enjoy things before people go, stop doing that.
Yeah. I used to enjoy my bicycle and I used to enjoy colouring in very much. I remember I loved colouring in. And I don't, it's really weird because I don't have a lot of memories. There's a lot I don't remember. I think I mostly don't remember my childhood. And I'm not sure if it's because I've always had a crap memory or it's because I don't want to remember. But I know I always enjoyed it if we had cats or dogs. That was a big deal for me. I absolutely loved playing with them and looking after them. I don't remember any specific games. I remember catching tadpoles and just loving it, but again, that's animals. Yeah, it's really interesting because if you look at my dad kept all my report cards from school, and when you look at my cards from nursery school, even at like 4 or 5 years old, very happy child, loves to sing and dance and make things and draw and paint and you know, I don't remember myself at that age at all, but very joyful child, which is so lovely. A very joyful child. You know, kind, polite, lovely, but just lovely to be around and loving, making and creating and doing and being and dancing and singing. And so I don't know what the fuck happened to. Funny,
Well,
I must get those report cards out actually, because they are probably a good reminder for me. I'm going to look at them with different eyes. I've always just, you know, looked at them, but now thinking about what it was I liked or who I was at that stage, because I don't have my own memories of it. There's a lot I don't remember, or very little I do remember.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's all really nice stuff, and none of that surprises me. When you remember the colouring in, what kind of a colouring in person were you? Because there's different styles, aren't there, of colouring in?
Yeah, oh, very careful. Mine was very neat, always
Yeah.
neat. The shading was beautiful right up until the edges, and then I'd go over and do the outline again. No, very neat, no freestyle messing up malarkey business. It was always, I tried very hard. For myself, nobody ever said very hard because I wanted it to look, I'm assuming, I didn't find it stressful, but I wanted it to look the best that it could look. You know, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed crayons. I remember, and you can still do it now with crayons because they're so waxy. You can put a colour down and then a colour over that, and then you can scrape away and you can do sort of graffiti stuff, sgraffito in it. I remember on my auntie's farm, my mum's sister, I used to love drawing a tree, and I'd draw the trunk and then the big tree, and then there were these they were like long grasses with seeds on. You get them here, and I'd go and put my finger along the and pull off all the seeds, and then stick them down. You know, put glue down and stick them down for where the leaves of the tree were going to. But I remember doing that. Yeah, but I think I was never freestyle. I was never messy. I was considered, I suppose, in my approach. And I am considered. I don't do things haphazardly or which is what stumps me, because I feel like unless I can do something properly, then I'm not going to do it.
Well, you say that, and you see, you've said that more than once. I know there's a story that runs in your head that says I'm not going to, and yet, you know, I asked you about the chicken. That was at risk of, you know, being delayed, procrastination over, because you said, oh no, you know, it needs to be just right, and I'm avoiding. But each time, like the kiln, we've come up against things that you've told me, you know, oh no, that won't happen because it's got to be just right, and but you've gone and done it anyway.
So that's the thing, isn't it? That it's the run up to doing or the story. Then it's obviously not the reality. It's the story that I'm telling myself, and the reality of it is very different, because once I start, then that holding on so tightly disappears. And actually, I'm just thinking about everything, about work, about everything. I think the initial story is got to be, you know, no room for error, and then I start, and then it's fine.
Yeah.
God, I'm just going to get rid of that story then. That's exhausting.
Yeah, because it's kind of,
fuck, I'm tired just talking about it. I mean, why are we going round and around and around? Enough already with the story.
Quite. Yeah.
That's it. No more story.
Excellent. I'm pleased to hear it. I'm
so tired.
Yeah.
So tiring.
Yeah, very much so. And like all the time we've known one another, every single thing you've kind of doubted, you've just gone and done it. So just, as you say, just skip the bit where you think you're not going to do it. Just do it.
It's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, what a waste of time. Energy. I could be thinking about other things instead.
Yeah. It's almost like, I mean, maybe
so interesting though. It's, you know, the why behind it. And I don't have to understand why I do it, but
no, you don't. But maybe there's a part of you that's kind of, because you talked about not being freestyle, which I I doubt a little bit as well. I doubt a little bit on the evidence that I've seen. But, you know, maybe what's really one of your core strengths is that you can do something that a lot of people are very freestyle in, you know, like very artistic endeavors. You know, they couldn't possibly do anything the way anyone else does them. But your approach to it, for you to enjoy it, you need to find your way into a kind of structured approach that then makes it feel comfortable.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, but it's almost like there's a judgment that maybe before you do it, you make a judgment about that's not how it should be. Freestyle is better.
Yes, that's true, because it's got, you know, it's that holding on tight, which is how I described it, isn't it? So that's kind of negative connotations for me, but there's nothing wrong with having some structure. And it's really interesting. Yesterday I was on Instagram. There's I can't remember her name, a woman I follow who does pottery, and she's so good, and we all love her stuff, and people buy her stuff, and she started throwing these big pots now, and she says, and she's really been nervous about it and hasn't done it so long because it's always like big guys with big arms, because big balls of clay are really hard work. You need muscles for that, and she's about that big, you know. And she was saying she's just finding her own way of doing it, of throwing it in sections like you'd see on the pottery throwdown, and then putting it together. And now I forget what I was going to tell you. It was about, so she was talking about method, and I can't remember exactly what she said, but it sounds like she's a combination of sketching, needs to know what's going to happen, blah, 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 and then you just go, and then whatever happens, happens. And that really resonated with me, which is exactly what you just said. I can't just sit down, step into the room, not have any, you know, I've got to have a foundation, a structure, something to work with. But I don't need to view it in a negative light. And also, that's not my story. It's not just that I'm holding on, because I do let go as well. Oh, it's so interesting. I don't know why we do the things we do.
Yeah. Stories are fascinating things, aren't they?
And after listening to that Byron Katie, you know, we spoke about it last time, the other night, of just the stories that we tell ourselves, because you take the story away and there's nothing, stillness.
Yeah.
Just objectivity, really. That's it. I mean, it's just things are as they are. And then you start and you and you put it in and you put it in and you tell yourself, and fuck. Well, that's humankind, though. That's human nature, isn't it? That is what humans do, but it is exhausting.
Yeah, it's remarkable. I mean, I'm finding that what I've learned from her, because at first it's like anything that's simple, isn't it? To get your head around simplicity is not always easy. It's not, I get kind of thinking, I don't what I don't get this. But I found there's always a new application for it. So, and I know she said this before, but it doesn't always have to be about a person, although you can describe it as a person. So I've used it in relation to my business sometimes. If I felt frustrated in any way, that I then use the technique about the business as if it's a person, because actually it kind of is like a person. It kind of is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then coming back to going, and then me, when you do the turnaround at the end, that's been really, really helpful.
Yes, because there's various ways of looking at it, isn't it? We see things through one lens only, which is our story, our belief systems, or whatever. I need to delve more into her stuff. Are you using her stuff quite a bit?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I am. I'm using it. Yeah, I am. Partly, you know, with because you're not seeing loads of people, you know, with just little things that frustrate in relationships, like, you know, like my son, for example, you go, oh, that's really annoying, and then using it for that, going, okay, what is this without me?
Oh, lovely. And that's what a much nicer way of looking at things, instead of getting so resentful because of our expectations or whatever. And realizing it that we're doing it to ourselves.
And the expectations thing is key. And I think about what she does and think frankly it's just better, you know. I think, oh, actually that's a similar thing to what I'm talking about when I've talked with people about guilt leading to resentment and let go of the guilt, you know. But saying let go of the guilt, and, you know, whatever way you come at it, some people might get that, some people won't, but she just has this simple process. Like, she has a process,
and the fact that it's a process and it's a step by step is really handy, instead of saying just let go of the guilt, but there is a step to it of turning around. I'm definitely going to look at her. Definitely going to look at her more. Do you know who I'm reading? I started last night. Anne Lamott. Do you know her work?
No.
You'll love her. Is it Lamott or Lamar? Anne Lamott, LAMOTT. She's been around for ages, and the book I started reading last night is called Help, Thank You, Wow, which is basically how she came from a family where no religion, no praying, whatever, but she's learned as an adult praying is really good. And, you know, it doesn't help to tell God exactly what you want to be prescriptive. This is the expectation thing. But, you know, you can just say help. And always say thank you. And the wow is like, you know, it might not happen then, but it always does happen at some stage, the miracle she speaks about. And again, I've forgotten the link. Oh my God, I can't wait for my HRT. Can't remember what the link was going to be that I was going to tell you, but it was about the letting go and the not expectations. And I think the expectations that we place on ourselves and other people, that's got to be the number one. Number one factor of making us miserable. Whether it's resentment or guilt or frustration or anger or whatever, it's expectation, isn't it?
Yeah, it is expectations, absolutely.
And I went to bed last night. I was quite hyper because I was having my bloods taken today, and I was reading. I always look on Mumsnet if it's to do with medication. And I looked on the Mumsnet website about testosterone, and the women who were taking it were like singing its praises. And all the things I'm struggling with is the stuff that they've taken it for, and it's like fucking amazing. And I was getting so excited and amped for my bloods today, and it's going to change. I thought, oh my God, I'm letting myself for such a, because if it doesn't work like it didn't last year, you know, I don't want to have such high. I'm happy to be excited, but I want to have such high expectations so that if it doesn't happen exactly like I think it's going to happen, then it's going to be the end of the world. And just reading some of her book last night before I fell asleep about taking away the expectation, but the faith and the belief that you will be fine no matter what. So even if I don't get prescribed testosterone, or I do, and it doesn't do exactly to me what I think it's going to do, that's fine, because whatever happens, I'm going to be fine. Whatever happens, it was quite a nice reminder. And that again is about the letting go and not having the expectations. And it's almost a Byron Katie thing, like, you know, so like what would happen if it didn't, you know, if I didn't suddenly have mental clarity and more energy and blah, blah, blah. What does that mean, you know? Good to challenge all these things.
And you know, the approach that I always use with it, always have done, you know, it was always a work in progress, all of us, is kind of asking the question of what what do you do differently when you have that clarity? So we kind of almost jump to the next step.
I forget that, and that's such a nice one. Yeah. What do you do when you do have a? What do you do differently than when you do have?
Yeah, and it's very similar in concept to Byron Katie, because she'll say, "Who are you without the thought?" And I'm kind of saying, "Who are you with the thought of what you want rather than what you don't want?" So it's kind of flipped.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. I was going to do a post on this today, and I haven't done any social post today. I was just leafing through a book where I do lots of my work, you know, and it's just journaling, but it's not a journal. It's just whatever I might be doing at that time. And so there's loads of random notes, and I don't know what they relate to. But one thing I think was a list of things that caused me, this was going back, what kind of things caused me anxiety. And what was interesting to me was there's a couple of key things, or there were a couple of key things I suspect we all have. And one of them was money. And the anxiety was caused by both having it or not having it, working towards it or not working towards it.
Yeah.
And that puts you in a complete, like, where do you go with that then? So, in my way of handling it, sometimes that becomes, those are your core sticking points, so things that almost become fear driven. And you can't tackle, okay, there were people that will argue with me, and there are cases that you can, but on the whole, it's not ideal to tackle fear face on, because the brain is very smart and it will find a way to stop you. Whoa, because that's its job, is to stop you challenging the thing that it's doing to protect you. So if you ask the question, okay, but what if I were to move past this fear and the fear went away, which is just like her saying, who are you without this? Then your brain will relax enough, usually, if you give it a chance, to contemplate, to consider
what it would be like, what you could do without that fear. Yeah.
But most people don't move forwards enough with the thinking.
Yeah.
Get pulled up short with the fear, and we just stay there.
Yeah. I kind of like a mixture of the kind of CBT stuff and stuff a previous coach did with me, of taking the subjectivity out of fear. So really looking at whatever it is you're fearing, so, you know, objectively, and then looking for evidence, which is very CBT based, looking for evidence where this has been true or not true. And usually you prove to yourself that your belief system isn't true. But I like that, and I forget that's always one that you use, that what would you do differently if that wasn't there? Because that's a really yummy, delicious thought, because suddenly you don't have to think about that fear, but you just have to think about, if it wasn't there, how would it be, how could it be, what would you do? And that is very similar to you setting that marker at 9 and 10 when I'm at 7 or 8, just planting that seed for getting through whatever you're going to get through to get there.
And you can apply it in any big or small situation. So when you think about the chicken, you know, if you were to make the first mark, what would it be like on the, you know, what would it be like on the other side of having made the first mark, kind of thing? Then how would you feel? Like you've made it.
Yeah, which is great, because that first mark is always the issue. Yeah. Well, hopefully it won't be the issue, or maybe it's always going to be the issue, and that's fine as well, as long as I know it and I recognize it, and it doesn't make me procrastinate. You know, I'm sure anybody who does their art or stuff has some form of whatever excitement before you start, and And it doesn't have to mean that it's a negative thing. That excitement could be fear, and it could be like proper joy, excitement, isn't it? It gives you the same kind of rush inside, really. And of course, the next step now is glazing. You know, once this is dried, I can ask my teacher to fire it, and then I've got very, again, clear ideas of an artist I've seen of how I would like the color scheme to work, and I haven't done it before, and we'll have to see what happens when it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with pottery, because honestly, you put on a color and it comes out completely different to what you expected. So it will definitely be whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
That I have no control over.
No.
No.
You see, and that's interesting again, isn't it? If you go back to the story you've told yourself, you love this craft around which there's very little, as you say, very little control. Like, you might be able to control the shape of it if you're masterful and you work hard and long enough. But once it comes to firing and glazes, lap of the gods.
No, definitely.
And that's what you've chosen, and yet you see yourself as someone who's quite structured and rigid and needs things ordered. So that's not necessarily true either, is it?
True. No, no. And I am finding with it, you know, it's definitely teaching me patience, because you can't just start a piece and work on it for as long as you want to, because you can only work on it at different, you know, you have to let things dry to a certain stage before you can do the next thing. Everything is in stages, and that doesn't suit me. You know, I want to just sit down and create now, and you've got to wrap it up and check on it and come back to it. And so, yeah, teaching lots of patience, and also to be open, because you just don't know. And every potter says that, you know, what you've got planned in your mind. Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens when it comes out the kiln. You just don't know.
What do you love most about it?
I think I like the feel of the clay, and I like using my hands. I like the throwing, but I think I like the building and the carving more. I got some tools delivered yesterday, like small ribbon tools, which would be nice for my next project, which I actually started on this morning. What do I? It's the very physical thing of the clay in my hand, and I suppose it must be, you know, the shaping of it. You start with a ball, and it starts with hard work, because you've got to wedge it first, so you've got to get all the air bubbles out, and that takes power depending on how big your ball of clay is. And then shaping it into something, whether it's by the wheel or whether it's hand built. It's just lovely, because you don't know, you know, you've got an idea, you've got a vague idea, but it does do what it wants to do.
I like that.
Yeah, the clay does what it wants to do, and which is very opposite to how I often am and have been with myself and with other people, because I'm definitely a fixer with myself or with other people. So I try to fix other people or guide other people. I don't do it that much anymore, because I've learned that that's not the way to go. But I think most of my life I was trying to control the situation around me, control others, control myself for the best possible outcome. Not in a horrible way, you know, in a good way. And whether it's things like, you know, giving advice when it's really not wanted, but in the nicest way, because you want to help somebody. Yeah, I've always tried to shape, which is like I've always tried to shape the environment myself, others. And I suppose the clay is really a very good example of life, of like, good luck. Good luck with that. You know, that started out as a round trickle, spherical shape with a head. That's fucking square with four heads. So yeah, that's pretty much as life is. There's a lovely quote. I can't remember. Oh, I've got my pens and my pencils. I've been doing writing, which is lovely. This is Anne Lamont as well. Lighthouses don't go running all over an island looking for boats to save. They just stand there shining.
Oh, I love that.
Isn't that great? I know.
Oh God, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
And I might just frame that as it is, because that was my first one. I was testing out the colours and stuff. But
yeah, nice.
Very nice.
Right, let's give you a nice opportunity to relax, seeing as we've swapped around. So
Okay.
have you taken up the position in your armchair?
Yes, I think for the last one. Let me just get rid of chicken before he goes to stuff. Chris does know that I'm on a call, but the dogs are here, so they might go all very crazy.
No, we'll probably hear the dogs come in at the end.
Yeah.
I'm used to that now.
Oh, here we come. Come on.
Are they?
The man's, come on. Might as well do it now. Come on. There we go. All right. That's all done.
You don't need a blanket now, then, do you?
No, you can get in there. He likes to go into jumpers. Do you want to go in? No. Okay. We're ready.
You ready? Yeah. All right then. Okay. So as you close your eyes, just sink into whatever you choose to sink into, the day, the moment. Just allow the rest of the day to just drift away like a tide. Just gently, each wave receding more than the last. But I wonder if you can allow yourself to imagine a fog. You're in a fog, and maybe it's just a mist. Perhaps there's a sense of sunlight there somewhere on the horizon that will at some point burn away the mist. Perhaps you just can and do imagine the fog, thick, taking away your sense of sight, such that all you have to rely on is your sense of touch and hearing. The fog obscures everything else from view. And for a moment, perhaps you find this disconcerting. But as you realize you're just resting there with your eyes closed, just imagining, nothing more, perhaps you allow yourself to just go with this particular flow. It's as if you're making the first mark in something new, fresh clay. Doing it on purpose and with purpose. Just allowing yourself to be there, connected only to your sense of touch and hearing. And so your task is to find your way without the sense of sight. Obscured by the fog, you need to feel your way, enhancing and exaggerating your sense of touch and feeling your way forwards, choosing the direction of travel, whether forwards, diagonally, upwards even, because in this place we call imagination, the magical craft environment of the mind, you can imagine anything, do anything, of your choosing. So should you choose to fly and soar, still there in the fog and feeling a sense of sensation, seeing through the fog, somehow with your hands and your body, using your hands to create the next step, using your sense of hearing, and beginning to realize that rather than relying on what appears ahead of you, you choose, you craft and mold and create and shape the environment of your choosing without the assistance of sight. You realize you choose how to shape, and you feel what you choose to feel. Happy, drawing in your mind's eye a sense of celebration, perhaps finding your voice because you can hear as well as feel, finding your voice, perhaps springing into song or dance, finding your voice, feeling the music as you move, feeling becoming more sophisticated, fine-tuned, shaping and being shaped, and feeling the music and the song soaring, and painting the colors in your mind, the colors that come from the shape, a joyful sensation as you begin to gain mastery. And yet realizing there is no finite mastery, because there is always more to make and create, more joy, more color, more light. No need to hang on tight, because in the fog you cannot see what to hang on tight to. So you choose to feel your way. And notice when you sing and you dance, you feel the vibration of sound within your body. And then your mind keeps bringing small glimmers and flickers of light through the fog. Perhaps you see or imagine the outline of a tree and a trunk, that traditional tree shaped by the child. Perhaps you imagine drawing the tree with the crayons, feeling once again the crayons in your hand, the mark you make, feeling your way into creation. Crafting a path without the ability to see through your eyes, but seeing through your mind. Seeing what you choose to shape and feel your way in, using your hands, not knowing what's next, but perhaps shaping a little, and sometimes delighted and surprised and joy-filled by how the shape sometimes turns differently to the way you imagined, but better, more expansive. You allow yourself perhaps to bring in a little color and shape, perhaps choosing some purpose or finding it more uplifting and joyful to let go completely of any intention, but trusting in your foundation stones of structure and process as you feel your way, for this is all that you have, and the light and the color comes from within and shapes. And perhaps like that lighthouse, standing resolute and firm and shining, you too no longer need to fix or control, just do what you want to do. not needing to know the next step, the next moment, moulding and being moulded, but being an active participant, joyful and happy, drawing and painting in your mind's eye, singing and feeling the vibrations traveling down through your body, out through your fingers. Perhaps you do become the tree, connected with purpose, the purposeful tree planted there just like the lighthouse, just observing, without sight, just feeling the wind move in the branches and the leaves dancing and the light cascading and responding without seeing to the light, transforming, blossoming, leaves, chlorophyll turning green, no need to see, just responding. Perhaps you allow yourself to remember those long grasses as you run your fingers all along, removing the seeds and sticking them down. You don't know what's next, but you take joy and delight in colouring as you go, happy to sing and dance with the joy of making and creating. And you can choose to be neat, to take your time, to work at your pace and feel your way into this new way. No longer desperate for the gift of sight to see the next step, but to feel right there in the very center of your being that you've arrived. You never needed to go anywhere or see any horizon. You're here and there and wherever you choose to be, where you are, drawing on skills and experiences remembered in a part of your mind that you can't quite recall, but remembered nonetheless. And the things you think you need to remember, really, just reside somewhere else. For you take up now all the light and the color and the shape and the meaning by being fully immersed in the shade and color and the shape and texture. You see through the fog, feeling through the fog. And suddenly everything has more color and more vibrancy and lights up every tiny hair within your body. And the cells dance and sing, coloring in the life. You made the first mark so long ago, but there's pleasure and joy in making a new first mark and another and another. So draw on whatever your mind gifts you now, this moment, remembering that nothing that I or anyone else says in this moment or any moment has any meaning. All that matters is you and your sense of shape and self and the feel of what it is to be you, the feeling coming through powerfully. You don't know where it comes from or where it goes to. You just know that it is. And as you allow that to land softly. The fog begins to clear, and you realize it really didn't matter. Whatever you're feeling in this moment is what matters, is matter, you matter, are matter, energy is matter, matter is energy, and you are both matter and energy. Still, like the lighthouse or the tree, now allowing the light to cascade all around, to see what you choose to see. Take a few moments now to consider what you craft and create and make for yourself as you feel more alive, more connected, more you. And when you're ready, take your time. Slowly open your eyes.
Oh, that was lovely.
Good.
I felt so free, and I was just thinking, oh my God, without a story, I mean, all the shit we tell ourselves, without that, you're just suddenly so free to shape whatever you want to shape. And I was thinking, initially I thought I'm going to make a list like my old story, what my new story is going to be. And I thought, I don't even care what my old story is. I'm just going to write a new story for myself and write it down.
Nice.
Yeah, that was lovely. Thank you.
Good. No, you're welcome. Well, you can choose whether you write your story and we can work on that on Friday, or we do the Byron Katie thing. You know me. We'll go with the flow.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. Although since we've spoken about maybe doing my mum thing, things have been coming up and I've been thinking of things. So I wouldn't mind having you to say them out loud to maybe work through one or two things. So yeah.
Well, even if you don't do the worksheet, I mean, even if we, you can just tell me. We just need a couple of seconds where there are just things that petty things that you want to project onto your mum. It could be anything.
Yeah, that's easy. I can do that.
Yeah.
I can definitely do that. Yeah, no, I'd like to. Before we finish, I just wanted to tell you, you look lovely. That colour is so good. Is it teal?
Do you know, I love teal. Yeah.
You look so good in that. The colour combination of your hair, teal, and your cardi is just lovely.
Thank you. Yeah, teal, I keep meaning, sometimes you'll see on my Instagram page, like there's a lot of teal coloured and then it's switched into this burgundy, but I think I'm going to just switch everything at some point.
Teal is nice. Well, I think you should go shopping and buy yourself more teal stuff. So beautiful.
That sounds like a nice idea, but I'd like to wait until all this chaos is over, and I'd like to have, I'd like to go to one of those people. Sometimes thought about you creating a package for menopause, like when you reach that stage where you're kind of ready to celebrate a bit, to have like someone that works on image and clothing and colors, and but you can have a slightly more immersive experience. There
are people who do color. I remember my mum's sister, I mean, I was young, I must have been 10, 12. My mum's sister had someone come round and she did colour swatches on all of us, like, you know, are you an autumn or a spring or a summer?
Yeah.
And I was an autumn. I remember being so disappointed with all these sort of oranges and yellows and browns and stuff. Yeah, I think anybody helping with image and clothing and stuff is a really good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's just, it's for the future. It's just something.
Well, I'm not going shopping anytime soon. I saw a thing on Facebook yesterday. Somebody posted somewhere queues. It must be young people desperate to go out.